Hello and welcome. It's a good day to be on the farm. My name is Chuck, and this is my Where to Start on Farm Manager in the Calmsden map video. That's not a great title, but we're going to work with it. So, this is the Calmsden map that everybody is talking about, and you have seen probably played on every YouTube farmer's videos lately. It is a beautiful map set in England, I believe designed by Oxygen David. And it is the same map that was on FS22, but obviously redone for 2025 with all the new ads. So I'm going to not start with the starter farm, although we'll kind of look at that at the end of the video. And I want to talk about where I would kind of start if I was going to do farm manager, which is get $1 million, buy yourself some equipment, buy yourself some land, and kind of get started. So I really struggle about how to make this video specifically because all the fields are huge and expensive. So I'm going to start with this little gym over here, which is field 13 and 14. And in here, you've got this field that's ready to harvest with canola. It's not very big. It's got this little river down here, which I love, driving through this and leaving some tire tracks and some ruts in there. And then it's got this field 14 over here, which in this case is soybeans, and is a little bit bigger, but you've got some hills to deal with on this one. So I don't know how well the equipment, you might need some bigger tractors just to deal with the hills, even though it's going to be smaller fields. But it is kind of a nice little area over here. 13, 14, I like these little country roads and the short walls that we have everywhere, but it is going to be a struggle to pull equipment up the hill. You're probably going to have to go east and west on these as you kind of work your way down. But there's a little bit of flat area up on the top here where I think you could probably put in a shed or drop one of the small, like tiny home farmhouses, or maybe one of the tents to get yourself started. So again, it gives you opportunities to expand. So I'm going to show you on the map here. They're basically, here's the shop, and so they're kind of south of the shop. You do have to take the road all the way around to get here, or you can just cut across field 12 if you don't care about that realism aspect. But and get down here to 13 and 14. And then it also has this, well, let me start with 13 and 14, the costs. So to start, this one's only 86,000 and this one is 60,000. So you're buying, maybe 140,000, 150,000 worth of land, which gives you a lot of money to buy equipment, which is what I kind of like about this setup. And then it gives you a place to expand, which is that field, what was it, 46 here, which is kind of funny looking on the way that this is set up, but I'm going to drive over there and show it to you now. It's actually a forestry section, which I don't believe was there in the FS22 version, because they have put a much bigger emphasis on forestry here in FS25. But this will also give us a chance to drive across the river and leave some tracks and kind of mess with the water. That's really cool. That's different and new. But if you take this little road over here into 46, it goes back here into the woods, and there's more lumber than you could ever need for any sort of projects or any sort of sawmill setup. Problem is, I don't know exactly where you put the sawmill. I think you'd want to come back up here, clear some trees out of the area, and then put the sawmill there. So maybe up here on this side of 46. I think it flattens out a little bit. Maybe it doesn't. But come back here, cut out some trees, flatten it out with the tools. Oh yeah, up here in the corner it flattens out. So I think you could clear out some of these trees and then flatten out an area, then drop in the sawmill and go from there and make a go of it up here. So I do think this is just an interesting starting area for small fields. And like I said, Calmsden, there's not really very many small fields. So kind of slim pickings here. I don't know that this is the best place to start, but it is an interesting place to start, and I do love that little river crossing. So the next place I want to show you is similar, and we're going to come over here and visit fields 41, 42, and 43. So here's field 41. Your gate to enter is right down here, and then you've got basically this grass field that runs, again, up a hill and behind this homestead. The thing about Calmsden is you can't buy the homes. you just buy all the fields around it. But this would be an interesting one to mow and play. And there are 3 small fields up here you could buy if you wanted to do grass and maybe animals. You could start with 41, 42, and 43. They're already ready to be harvested grass planted fields. Here's 42. And again, they're very small. There's a farmhouse there, but you can't buy it. So you can enter from that way. Or if you buy 42 and 43 together, you can use this gate down here to enter and then get to both fields together. These are beautiful and scenic and have these little half walls down here, which are nice but kind of annoying once you're trying to get big equipment or bigger equipment in. But again, it's a nice little area that I'm not seeing a whole lot of people utilize, but you could certainly use it to generate some grass and start a small grass farm, make some bales, haul them in and around, and then maybe get some animals on one of the larger fields. So I wanted to point that out as maybe an option number 2. And then what we're going to do is something completely different. Is I'm going to go out here to, you probably just saw it. Here is a field that I actually really, really love. And this is field 28. So let me find my case, and we're going to go ahead and unload the grain while we talk about it. This field is ginormous. I could not help myself. I started on New Farmer just to see what the starting farm came with, and again, it comes with all the things. But this field is what I wanted to try and play, so I did. And I got the biggest harvester in the game out here, because that is the difference between Calmsden and some other maps, is it is big fields and little equipment, which is an interesting combination. So this field 28 out here is over $1 million for the one field, but that's because it's well over 50 acres. In fact, I think it's almost 60. Let me get in here and get this unloading, and then we'll pop in here to see. So field 28 also butts up here in the corner with 29 and 30. If you could eventually buy all 3 of these fields, that would keep you plenty busy. You wouldn't need to do much else on this map, because this is going to be hundreds of thousands of liters of grain harvested. But here, this field was $1.3 million. And the reason I pointed out is I had to cheat some money in just to buy this field. And again, this is New Farmer. I was just playing around to see what other parts of Calmsden can I show off that people may not have seen already. So I leased that giant New Holland harvester. That's the gold edition one that you can buy from the store. And I just wanted to see how long it would take to harvest this field. So I'm not even close to halfway done. In fact, let's look on the map and see. Maybe I'm getting about 40% done. But the one headland was already 3 tipper loads. So it's going to be a while. And this is, let me go back. Yep, I'm at 1 hour here, and it probably just happened when I was talking about it that we got the leasing fees for going over an hour on this thing. So very expensive to lease, but if you wanted to do it, you could certainly, let me get off of that, because that's going to be loud. So if you wanted to, well, now I need to restart it. But if you wanted to do one of these large fields, you could theoretically start with your $1 million in Farm Manager, take out the $500,000 loan that you're available to get you $1.5 million, buy this field for $1.3 million, then lease your harvester, lease your tractor, lease your tipper, lease your header, and get it out here and do it. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it, but that's the kind of thing that I loved about Calmsden, is the size of these fields. The problem is the roads are very narrow, and driving your equipment around can be a bit of a chore. So to get that giant harvester out here, you would never see that size of a harvester in a field like this. On this map is designed for small equipment, which is going to be tons of laps. So what I was going to do at some point, and I might still do it, but probably not in this video, was bring the small harvester. And let me just go into my equipment, because I did do New Farmer just to show to see what they started with, and you do start with a ton of equipment, but it started with this case, Evian 450, which is a smaller harvester, but it has 65 hours on it, which makes it affordable. And then the header here is only 6.2 meters, where the one that I leased down here, this New Holland CR11, has a 16 meter, well, it's 15.2, but a large header, much bigger, twice as big as the other one. So again, you're going to need to do twice as many rows to harvest a field like that. So it's not designed for this out here. And to get it out here, I basically drove through all the fields. I couldn't get it on the roads because of the small stone walls and the river crossings and the gates. I just had to basically cut through the bushes and drive across the fields to get out here. So that's part of the reason I lease it, is because I'm just going to return it at some point in time and maybe try it with the other equipment. So, but I did want to show you this field 28, 29, and 30 where they all come together, which is over here. And I do love the equipment you start with on this. Normally, your used equipment comes with 30 to 35 hours on it. This one has 222 and a half hours on it, this Case Puma. So you're talking used equipment. So you're going to spend a fortune repairing this equipment at your workshop in the base game, in the starter farm, if you use this really old equipment. But I think it's cool to have equipment where you get a lot of different kinds of equipment, but they all have hundreds of hours on them. So that's 28. Here's 29. I don't necessarily like the triangle shape of this field as much, but again, it's going to be many acres. So let me just go back to this. So this one was 57.2 acres for 1.3 or almost 1.4 million. Here is your 42 acres for just a million, or a million oh three. And then here's field 30, which is 32 acres for 783,000. So technically you could start on field 30 and then work your way up to 30 or 29 and then work your way up to 28. There's really just, unfortunately, not a lot of flat ground out here. This is where those three fields connect. There's some forestry options right there, but I would kind of maybe dig out one of the corners of these fields, or just kind of plop down a small shed here, or a small tiny home or tent or some sort of farmhouse up here, just to kind of have a spot to kind of start. And I would just leave my equipment out along the edges and just do my best in the fields that I have available. So, but again, I saw an almost 60 meter field, or 60 acre field, and I couldn't help myself. I wanted to see how long it would take to harvest that thing with the largest harvester in the game. So then lastly, we're going to go back here, which is the starter farm itself. And where is, so this harvester is also ready. So I've been harvesting this field as well. And in the starter farm, you get field 5, you get field 10, you get 36, you get this whole area here that has your farmhouse and some other people you can visit. You do actually get this field 38. I just sold it to help me pay for that other $1.3 million field. But then you get the cow shed over here, which I believe is part of 36. Yeah, so it's here for 36. You get this cow shed and some nice sheds over here. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've already watched a couple of Calmsden videos or other people that did map tours. And then you get this field 10, which is a large grass field as well. So the thing that's really nice about the starter farm is the buildings. These are really good buildings to start with. Let me run over here. I wish I knew where my tractor was. Looks like it's over there. But so I've been working on this one with this little Kloss Evian 450. And I mean, I've got quite a bit of time into just harvesting this field, and I'm maybe 60% of the way done. And again, it's like half as big as that other field, maybe even a third as big. So, but in this one, you get, these sheds over here that are stock full of equipment. You get all this farmyard debris, which adds aesthetic value to this map. You get here this big machine shed where your harvester starts. You got this over here, which is your silo. which I'm going to get away from because it's really loud. This little door opens up here where you can pull out, and then you get to your, this is where you dump into the silo over here, and then it has the workshop over here as well. I know you've all seen this already, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time kind of going through all of the things, but if you've never played Calmsden before, this is going to be one where I'm going to recommend the starter farm versus farm manager, which is kind of my preferred way, because it is a really nice farm. And I think it's set up so that you could buy field 7 at some point in time and expand north, or buy some of these other larger fields in the area, and you're centralized from everything right here. The farm store is right down here. It is a really nice, beautiful map, with a lot of scenery, and it makes you really kind of feel like you're in there. I've just played Calmsden before. My second series that I played in FS22 was on this map. Again, it did not look quite as nice as it does now in FS25, but I have done several harvests of this field 5 and that field 7, and I have done the cows on 36 and the grass field on 10, and I think I planted something there on that. I mean, if you want to go back to 2 or 3 years ago and see my first couple of videos, they were here on Calmsden on FS22. So it is a great farm if you've never played it. I would highly recommend playing it, and just start on Farm Manager and use the equipment that they give you. For example, this Class Evian has 65 hours on it yet, so you're going to have to repair that in a little bit. This John Deere that they start you with, and this is the one I was looking for because I need to tip that class, has almost 500 work hours on it. That is insane. I've never seen a tractor with that many hours on it in a farm sim game, because normally I get them at 0 and I use them until about 30 or 40 or sometimes 60, and then I sell them and get a new one. I've never seen anything with 500 hours on it before. So again, I'm not going to say that this is going to be the best tractor ever, because it's going to cost a fortune to repair it and use it, but it is just kind of fun and different. And Calmsden really is a beautiful map and a beautiful farmyard. It's just the equipment is small for the large fields that you're dealing with, so it just takes a lot of work. And growing the cow shed over there, which is really nice, is great, but it takes a lot of work. Like, it is just for a field, or for a farm that has large fields. I just wanted to see what else could you possibly do in here, and that's why I started with those small fields, because again, and I say this every time, Farm Manager is my favorite way to play with the $1 million and kind of do what you want, and just kind of pick what equipment is on sale, or pick what equipment you want to start with, and start small and build your way up. Calmsden is not that. You start with all these large fields and all of these barns and all this equipment. So this map is not really designed for Farm Manager the way that a lot of the other maps that I review, I guess would be the right term. So I was a little unsure if I should even do a map tour on this one, but it is such a great map, and if you've never seen it or played it, I just wanted to show it to you so you'd have a chance to go and see it and play it. But I think I'm not going to play the starter farm in this one. It's just not for me. I've already done that. So I'm going to do things like this field 28 over here with this giant harvester, and just see what that looks like, because that to me is what's interesting, is playing with some of these larger fields. Now, I'm never going to take this large harvester back to the farm shop. It was such a pain to get out here because of the roads and the little stone fences and all the things. So if I keep playing this one, which I probably won't, I've got other series going on and other maps to play with, but I would build a little machine shed out here, and I would just never take this harvester to town. Sorry, I thought my tractor to unload was up here, but it does not appear to be. So, but this is where I think this map can shine. These scenic areas, doing something up here with, well, that's right, I took it I took it between the triangle between 28, 29, and 30. This is where I would want to play some of these big fields and see. I don't know if this is the biggest field available. Let me just check. So this one is 57 acres. There's this one, which is 60. Yeah, so this one is 1.5 million basically. So it's right south of 13 and 14 where I started. Um, you got the two smallest fields that are arable, and then you got the largest field just south of that. So this one could be interesting too, but it is um, more square, and I kind of like these non-squared fields, and I like the longer runs versus having to go, make more turns and do that. So I just went like this one literally takes several minutes when you're harvesting to go from one end to the other because it is just that long of a field. And that's interesting to me because that's kind of what farming here in the Midwest where I live is like. But here we are in England and there's these giant fields. I can't imagine doing this with a 6.2 meter header on that little cloth that you start with. I just might bring it over here to see how many rows it is compared to this. Let me actually just like fire this up because it is interesting. Like the steering assist, it's so zoomed out you can't really even count those rows. But for one headland at 16 meters, and then you've got all those rows spreading it out, that's probably 15 rows across. And those are long, several minute, like 10-minute rows when you're harvesting. Um, but it's going to be hundreds of thousands of wheat off here. And I didn't turn on a straw swath. I just didn't want to even mess with it. You could probably get 200 bales off this field if you wanted to. And that to me is interesting. So if I was going to do anything on Calmsden, which, I might get to at some point, um, I would probably do some of these big fields and just make a go of it out here rather than playing the starter farm. Because again, I like to do things a little different. But um, the starter farm really is great, and this will be one of the few maps where I'll just say just play the starter farm. If you've never played on Calmsden, just do that and get your feel for it, and then kind of expand as you see fit. But anyway, I hope you guys appreciated kind of my look at Calmsden through my eyes. It is a little different than some of the other map tours that I've done because it's not really a map tour. I'm not really suggesting that you play Farm Manager on here. So a little different, but I did want to address it because it is the most popular map that is out right now and everybody is playing on it. So hope you guys have a great day. I appreciate your thoughts and comments in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.